My dad created the Cuban Assassin character when he was young because he looked a lot like Fidel Castro. And during that time, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. And so the news brought up John F. Kennedy's assassination and the connection of the Bay of the Pigs. So that's how my dad created the Cuban Assassin character. Now, my dad's brother, my uncle, wrestled in Puerto Rico as Cyclone Acevedo. And he was supposed to team up with my dad, and they would have became the first set of the Cuban Assassins, but my uncle's wife told him if he left that she would divorce him, so he stayed in Puerto Rico. And thus the Cuban Assassin character was created, and my dad took off to go into different territories to wrestle as the Cuban Assassin. And that started the legacy of the Cuban Assassin. After my dad had created the character, the Cuban Assassin, he would come to a small town in West Virginia, which is Oak Hill, West Virginia, and he would wrestle for Saturday Night Wrestling, which aired on WOAY TV4, and it aired from TV Lanes at Hilltop, West Virginia. Now, one day after filming at WOAY TV4 Saturday Night Wrestling, Dad would leave and go to a diner called Skyline Drive-In, also at Hilltop, West Virginia. And that's where he would meet my mom when she was working there. And of course, the result was myself and my sister. Now, this is actually where the beginning of the Cuban Assassin's legacy would begin. My dad would only wrestle there from 1969 till 1973, and in 1973 he took my mother, myself, and my sister Cindy up to Montreal to wrestle for the Vachon's Grand Prix Wrestling. Then he would go on to Mille Dupree's Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling in the Maritimes, and a wrestler by the name of Don Leo Jonathan would be the one who put Frank Sieberstein and my dad together, and that's where the Cuban Assassins would become a tag team, and that's the birth of the Cuban Assassins. But originally it started off from WOAY TV4 Saturday Night Wrestling. If my dad hadn't ventured and Don Leo Jonathan didn't meet my dad and Frank, then the Cuban legacy would never begin. But that's where it started off from, right there.
I see him. And right now, the Cuban Assassins, along with you and Mr. Carlo, are in the ring. And of course, over on the left of the screen, you see one bad boy, Billy Hines, their manager.
And he's been a real nemesis for Powers for the last year. He's a little guy that gets in a big way all the time. He is there in front of you, behind you, beside you. But finally, we had Hines, after many, many months of negotiating, we got the promoters of IWA to insist that if he was going to be ringside, that it would be contained somehow. And we asked for an 8-foot cage, and that's where Mr. Hines is right now, being put in the cage. And there's no way that little dude's even going to climb over the top of it. This was because he fussed with so many matches, single matches that I've been involved in, and other wrestlers like Nick. He was involved many times when ex-champions, the Tyler Boys, were involved in their matches. He just fussed a lot at the matches and could create a lot of havoc with them.
And of course makes it 3 against 2.
Yes.
In this case now we've got 2 on 2. Carlo and Powers and the Cuban Assassins. And you might want to comment on the Cuban Assassins. They're a new group to this area. They've wrestled all over the country. And right now they are stalking the ring, as it were.
That's exactly what they appear to do. This is the first time I had seen them in the flesh. I'd seen publicity shots on them. Enormous energy levels. They were constantly moving around the ring, climbing the ropes. They were doing that before the match. During the match, the wrestling fans will just see just what a finely conditioned pair these two are. They have enormous ring sinks. They are all over the ring, but seem to know what they're doing most of the time. And Nick and I had our hands full for sure with this. I understand that they're brothers. It's a little hard to communicate. One, I don't talk to Hines, and 2, I understand that their contract is being renegotiated with the general, Big Bad John, and I'm certainly not about to talk that lout. And the names, I believe, are Acevedo. One is called Angel, another Roao. And the bigger of the two is Angel, I understand. And an Angel he isn't, as a lot of wrestling fans will find out. He might be back home an Angel, but he certainly wasn't in the Winston-Salem Coliseum that night. They have a great success record all through South America. They had come up through, I understand, the East Coast, stateside. I think it shows you just how well-rounded IWA is on that international flavor. You know? From Italians like Nick to Canadians, to Canucks like myself, and to the Cubans, to von Stroheim as a German. There are just numerous wrestlers. There's a number of Japanese wrestlers in the process. I understand their contracts are being negotiated with the IWA promoters to come into the area. There is a new Indian wrestler that's coming in shortly, Pistol Pez Watley, who is in the match we mentioned previously.
Last week.
Right, great. He's an All-American fellow for sure. University of Tennessee, former Tennessee AAU amateur wrestling champion, state champion, and just a super dude. The IWA ranks are becoming even more rounded and powerful with a new and increased lineup of wrestling stars. The referee here, I listened to the referee. One, there was a communication problem. I don't know if they speak English at all, or if they do, how much. He was trying to direct them and get some kind of order in the ring, and it wasn't happening for a number of minutes there.
And we're underway. There's your partner, Nick DiCarlo.
There's an example of ring psych. The other partner coming into the ring, going out again, just to get you mentally off balance, right? While his partner is having a chance to assess you and set you up for something. He's coming into the ring. Watch this move. What he really fakes him out well. He looks like he's going for arm drag. He ducks down and gets his man in position. Good move. Nick is we're like brothers now. We just think as one. Both of us are basically individuals from the standpoint of liking to function in the ring in singles competition. But it just gelled so well, the wrestling strategy and his ability in the ring and his just fine sense of ring timing. And I think we complement each other. Nick is a barrel-chested young fellow, great upper body strength, and does good moves with side headlocks and any kind of upper body ring strategy. Plus, he has, I'd say, one of the finest drop kicks in the business.
Now he's on the disadvantage for sure, but how he pays off.
The Cuban came down, and as he's come through the air, hit both heels on the table, which was about 2.5–3 foot above the concrete there, and then went down. So, and there's Billy Hines rattling his cage.
Not enjoying the proceedings at this moment.
Right.
Referee is Jim Dotson, and the count is on.
Jim Dotson had a hard time. A referee's position is a lousy position to be in, especially in a tag match. You've got to be on top of it. You try to be on top of it, but you can't all the time. There's just so much going on with 4 bodies in there, and sometimes 5 with the manager if he is around the area. It's very hard not to look bad sometimes. Good elbow smash in the chest. Side hip lock, take over. Good position. There's an example of what Nick likes to do is get in close and put a good side headlock on. He gets a lot of pressure. There was an ex-world champion, Ed Strangler Lewis, who that was his favorite hold and won many a match with a good crushing side headlock. That's where many of the cauliflower ears in this business, the wrestler's sport, come from. Side headlock. Good short tackle. Second tackle.
Right now you have to be pleased with what's going on.
Good counter move, right? Hip lock and a double kick and a scoop. Back into the side headlock. Nick knows where he's at in the ring. Good position, moves well.
crowd really got into this match, too. I might add, I was there at ringside, and they were really into this one.
Yeah, it's the Winston-Salem Coliseum, as I think most of the people in the IWA network know, as special meaning for Johnny Powers. I had a whole year's battle trying to get into the Coliseum after we were blocked from getting a continuance of our matches there. And this is the first re-debut of IWA in the Winston-Salem Coliseum after a year and 2 months. And the fans just turned on. And I think the wrestlers were all up for it, too. All of us. It was like coming home again. It's like you've been away in a long tour and you come home with the family. And that's how the wrestling fans are in Winston-Salem. And it's just not the residents of Winston-Salem, because the wrestling fans that come down to the Coliseum come from a long distance. They come from, part of them from Virginia, the Martinsville, Collinsville area, Danville, Rocky Mount, Virginia. Some even come all the way from Roanoke and Lynchburg.
I had a fellow told me, excuse me, that came up to ringside and introduced himself and said he'd driven 100 miles just over the other side of Raleigh, Durham, to see this.
Wrestling fans have great loyalties. That whole surrounding area, up north at Mount Airy area, and King and over there, and Salisbury, Lexington, all over, other side of Greensboro and other side Burlington. Just the wrestling in this marketplace is just well supported if you give them the right product. And I think IWA, the matchmakers and the promoters are doing just that. They're doing a fine job with putting together exciting matches and bringing in good talent that has an enormous appeal for this marketplace, that's different and new and unique, and many times controversial, like the two Cuban Assassins. This is a different move, a dive on an arm when he's got it in a strange position. It doesn't take much to do a lot of damage to the joint areas, the elbows and the knees. And you can
hard kick right there to the back of the neck.
Bust up and do a lot of harm to the ligaments and tendons with just a small amount of force. These fellows are not enormously tall, but powerful they are. I'd guess they're somewhere around the 5'10", 5'11" mark, weighing in somewhere around 225, 230. But do they move? And here's an example of double teaming. The referee should have been a little tighter on this, but it's hard to fault him for it, because it's just the control in the tag team matches is very, very hard.
Tag is made, and there you are.
The tag was made, but Jim Dotson did not see the tag. And you should have heard the fans and Powers yell here. I'm trying to point to take a look. There's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of fans up there, and they're bearing witness to the tag. And the referee says, if I didn't see it, I didn't see it. Strong move on that left arm. Here's an example of good wrestling strategy.
Taking our commercial break, and Johnny, we're right back to the action. Nick DiCarlo, yours truly, and the Cuban Assassins.
And they're still working on that arm. The key with these boys is that they can wrestle, and they keep constantly tagging out and coming in with a fresh partner. And if you can do that, good tag. Now the referee should have seen that tag.
Forearm. Right into Nick. Great action. The crowd at this point was on its feet and yelling, "Go, Johnny, go!" Which had to pump up the old adrenaline.
It feels good, you know.
Home crowd advantage.
Exactly that, right. Any athlete who's competing in any sport, when he feels the support of the audience there, and you feel better. You don't want to let them down. You function basically as an individual, and your own sense of pride says, well, I don't want to look bad in the ring. I want to compete as strongly and as well as I can. But when you've got a bunch of people there that are kind of looking out for you and looking after you to support-wise, you just let out a little better. Hard dump, it's not in the corner post there.
I understand that the Cuban Assassins now, they were in Winston-Salem a couple of weeks ago. They will be wrestling throughout the Carolinas during the months to come.
Right, in Virginia, too, all through the IWA network down here on the East Coast. This is where I thought I had them, but it shows the resilience, the strength of both of them. The partner came in to give him that extra couple-second breather, and if he doesn't get up, right, I thought most men cannot take a crack to the head like that with a steel post. But he comes out of it. This shows you when an athlete's really in condition, you can take an enormous amount of punishment and still come back and keep the match alive.
Of course, this was a long match. It had to go over 22 to 25 minutes.
It felt like a couple hours in there. There are sometimes, if you're really in shape and you feel you've got your match psyched out, you can coast once in a while. This is not a match where you could coast for a second. If we didn't stay on top of it, we would have lost the belts. There was no question about that. I figured I'd give the Cuban a little exchange on the arm lock that he'd give to Carlo, just so he didn't think they were going to get away with it.
On the fans jumping up in front of the cameras that were there at the Coliseum.
Wrestling's a spectator sport. I mean, the fans just turn on. They get really involved with
Up and over.
And here's a backdrop that not many wrestlers can take. The fellow had to go up about, I'm 6'4", and if I put my arms like that, it's over 8 foot, so the fellow took an 8 foot backdrop there. He should have stayed down. Nice move. He got rid of it. Strong fellows. They're all over the ring, and it's hard to stay on top of them. The fans, a lot of the fans didn't sit down for the whole match, I don't think. Huh?
That's right. It's so hot. You talk about if anybody's ever boxed, and I know every kid in the country has boxed a round. One round, which is like 3 minutes. You're just
beat.
But this goes on for like 22 to 25 minutes. It was very, very warm under the lights. And of course, when you're taking in and out of the ring, when you're taking shots, sooner or later somebody's going to have to throw in the towel.
It's an example, too, of for all the wrestling fans that are used to watching studio matches that are taking various locations around the country. This is an example of the atmosphere that's in the arenas and coliseums, and why you should come out when the wrestling matches come to your area. There's a whole different feel and flavor to it in a coliseum environment where there's thousands of people and the fans just make sometimes the building literally vibrate, and the different effects, the lighting effect is different. It's when you're just seeing the studio environment where you see, or a TV auditorium, you might see 200 or 300 or 400 people sometimes, but here you see literally thousands of people, and you really get into it, and this is what makes the wrestling fans come out. Once he's come down and he's seen the part as this is here on the Coliseum. They just couldn't come down.
I thought this was it, but off the top rope. And that is why the IWA promoters decided to go out and tape this match in Winston-Salem so we could put it on television along the IWA network and let the fans just see the match from the Coliseum standpoint. And of course, you don't have the time limit. On television, we're working on an hour.
Right.
And so you don't, some of these matches, the last 3 I know at the Coliseum were hour time limits. So in every match, I think the last 3 went over 20 minutes. And of course, on television, when you are restricted to an hour of TV time, you cannot have a match that goes on and on and on and on. Because of the time.
There's different times. There are 15 and 20 minute time limit matches on television.
Besides the atmosphere you were talking about that you get in the Coliseum, where you have
and you see
large
top
crowds.
And you see top matchmaking too. The promoters go all out to make sure that their matchmakers come up with exciting combinations, and that the fans will want to see and come down and get good box office results, because that's where a promoter is really at, right? He's interested in a lot of people coming down, so he's got to supply a good product in the Coliseum arena.
Got to pay those bills, like any business. And of course, we've got a great match coming up. So stay with us. You're going to see the magnificent Zulu, and he is that, against Dick the Bulldog Brower on this hour.
Big dude. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
And there's an example. The referee should have been a little tighter in that. If they're going to, another man's going to come in, it should be a legal tag.
He's got like a basic claw hold there.
Yeah, it's a nerve hole that digs deep in the side of the neck and into the the trapezius area.
And smart. Right off the top rope. Now, right now, you don't like to watch this.
This
Not great fond of memories here.
He's got a leg grapevine on and an arm bar, and doing a good job on that. And the body weight, I probably outweighed him by maybe 10, 15 pounds. But the way he's positioned on top, it's hard. You can tell I was doing my best to get out of it. And I'm not moving very far because he's got a good leg grapevine on me. Good position. And this is an example where you can ride your man and wear him out. He's got to lift your body weight and his body weight too, right? So he's got a double workload there. Straight arm bar.
And now you've been in the ring a good 6 to 8 minutes.
Right. Good ring strategy, both assassins. A hard team to work against. Very hard team to wrestle.
Just a couple of weeks ago in the Winston-Salem Memorial Coliseum, taped highlights of the tag team championship battle between Nick DiCarlo, Johnny Powers, the current IWA tag team title holders, and the Cuban Assassins. We also want to make mention that IWA Wrestling will be returning to Winston-Salem May the 27th. That's a Friday night at 8:30 with an all-star lineup. I understand Zulu is returning, and Hez Watley, and Big Bad John, Brower, you'll be there, DiCarlo, Sohan, Danny Little Bear, who's a new wrestler to the area.
Right.
It's going to be a great program. May the 27th at 8:30. It's a Friday night. And again, you have not managed to get over, and I know you're trying to make that. Do you ever lose where you're at in the ring? Like, where is DiCarlo? Is he over here? Is he over there? My Lord, where is the man? I've got to make the tag. I'm tired and I'm hot. I need a break. I need to catch my breath. Do you ever lose exactly where you're at?
Your ring sense, sure. I think any wrestler says it doesn't, is not telling like it is. If you're really positioned there and you concentrate on one thing, if you're concentrating on your opponent, you can't always keep aware of what else is going on outside the ring. But you try to as much as you can, as quickly as you can, or you don't survive in that ring. Depending on your ability to keep it all together in a tag match, you've got to take advantage of every opening and every breather. That's what makes tag team matches exciting. They originated in Australia. The formal title is Australian Tag Team Wrestling. And there's just so much more action goes on in a tag match because you can tag off and get out of that and let a fresh man come out. Nick's all around it. He's going to do a job of it. It's a fantastic move. Look at a slingshot into the corner bucket. And building a new face there.
And again.
Another example.
This is a fantastic
good move.
Right over the top rope and out.
That should have been the match right there.
And another
good frog smash. Good shot.
We got them both out. Here comes number one and number two. I don't know their names either. Hard to tell them apart.
Suplex.
Oh.
Good setup for finishing move.
He came back.
Short tackles. Side. We're going to side hip lock him, and their arms locked, and they're over the top ropes. It's a freaky move. I've never seen it happen before in wrestling. An attempt at a side hip lock, and almost a completion. That was the other assassin going to try to double team Nick on the floor. And
all
just
four
wasn't going to
wrestlers
happen as long as I could walk.
And the count is on from the referee, Mr. Dodson. And now it's all over.
I don't think any of us were aware, except that one assassin was trying to get back in the ring there, aware of the timing that was going on there.
There was a count out. And what do you get? 30 seconds?
20 count on the
20?
floor, 10 in the apron, and a 4 count with a 5 as a disqualification on the ropes if you don't break.
Disqualification. All four wrestlers were outside the ring. Let's see what happens.
neither Nick and I were aware of. We should have been watching the time closer and got back in the ring. And would have had a better shot at it, a much better shot.
Of course, it's hard to tell with that much noise and that much confusion of exactly what's going on. Now the presentation of the belts. I think that's coming up. There's the man out of the cage. You know that fellow?
Yeah, Hines had to try to stick his nose in. And this is going to be one of the last times he does it.
He's got his walking stick. Right now he's bleeding, crying. Up and over.
Look at the fans standing.
Yes. I love this. Like a sack of potatoes. Great action from the Winston-Salem Memorial Coliseum. Tag team action.
After my dad had left WOAY TV4 Saturday Night Wrestling, there's another guy that came into the picture by the name of Steve Padunovac. He had his own little territory or his own little promotion, and he had been booking for a couple other promotions in West Virginia and Kentucky, and he just happened to see a guy that had an afro and a mustache, and he reminded him of my dad, the Cuban Assassin, so he decided to give this other guy the name, the Cuban Assassin, for his shows. Even though this guy's not related to me or my family in any way, he went on to wrestle as the Cuban Assassin, and this is where the so-called fake Cuban Assassins come into the picture. Kind of like the fake Von Erich for the Von Erich family. We had a fake Cuban Assassin. So he went on with the name of the Cuban Assassin, and nonetheless, he happened to wrestle with it without my dad's permission to use the name, and my dad was the one who created this character. So, Steve Padunovac got his little version of the Cuban Assassin.
Steve, maybe you better move out. The main event, a one-fall exploration of TV time. Introducing from Detroit, Michigan, weighing in 245 pounds, Sweet Man Oscar. And his partner from Oklahoma, weighing in 230 pounds, Chief Walking Horse. And their opponent from Havana, Cuba, weighing in at 250 pounds, the Cuban Assassin. His partner from Moundsville, West Virginia, weighing in at 235 pounds, Ronnie Eastep. Along with Orlando Private Corner. And the referee,
Boy, what a team in that corner. Ronnie Eastep and the Cuban Assassin, along with Private Arnold, his manager, going against Sweet Man Oscar from Detroit, Michigan, and Chief Walking Horse. Right away, the Cuban Assassin moves out on Sweet Man Oscar.
Walking Horse.
That's Walking Horse, I beg your pardon. They've got Walking Horse in the corner, and they're working him over. Ronnie Eastep gets him again in the corner, and the Cuban Assassin starts to work on it. Private Arnold, he gets a tug or two in there himself. Now the Cuban Assassin comes in. Ronnie Eastep goes out. You'll notice Eastep holding the hair of Chief Walking Horse. The Cuban Assassin working on it. There's a forearm. Headlock by the Cuban Assassin. There was a tag, and in comes Sweet Man Oscar. And he's now inviting the Cuban Assassin out to the center of the ring. He said, I'm not coming over to your corner. You can't blame him. Into the referee's hole. Cuban raking the eyes. There's a tag. In comes Ronnie Estep, and whatever the Cuban Assassin had in his hand, you could see possibly he just handed it to the Cuban or to Ronnie Estep. Headlock by Ronnie Estep. And Sweet Man Oscar is in a bit of trouble. Another headlock by Estep. Watch him. Goes closer toward the Cuban Assassin. If he gets him in that corner, here comes Private Arnold complaining to the referee. And while he's doing that, Ronnie Estep has Sweet Man Oscar in that corner. They're going to work him over again. Here comes the Cuban Assassin in. Ronnie Estep steps out, and he kicks him with a knee and a fist to the chin. Headlock by the Cuban and a right to the Adam's apple, and Sweet Man Oscar is hurting. Headlock by Ronnie Estep and a fist into the face of Sweet Man Oscar. Another headlock and another left. And a body press by Ronnie Estep. 1, 2. Couldn't hold him. He got him off barely at the count of 2. Headlock by Estep. Into the foot goes Sweet Man Oscar. Here comes the Cuban Assassin in. Hits him with a full body press. 1, 2. And he doesn't want to pin him. He wants to punish him. And Sweet Man Oscar is getting plenty of it from the Cuban Assassin. You can see how he has him with that sort of a forceps grip on the face. There was a tag. The Cuban Assassin still going after him. Hits him with a body press. 1, 2, 3. That time he pinned him. And the first fall of this main event. Goes to the team of Ronnie Estep and the Cuban Assassin over Sweet Man Oscar.
Now, after Dad and Frank tagged him as the Cuban Assassins, later on Frank would quit in the late 70s in order to spend time with his family. So Dad moved on to a singles career for a little while and wrestling with different type of people as his tag team partners. This would continue on for a short bit, and as Dad was doing the singles and tagging with everybody else, he was trying to find someone who would fit the mold of being the Cuban Assassin. And since he was primarily wrestling in Stampede Wrestling at this time a lot and over in Japan, he would be looking at one guy that he thought would fit the bill to be the next Cuban Assassin. And of course, later on, that person would end up being Jack Kruger, and they would go to Puerto Rico as Los Mercenarios, and they would continue as the Cuban Assassins also in Calgary, Alberta, Canada for Stampede Wrestling.
For the International Tag Team Championship, wow, it has been a rouser as we near the 20-minute mark, and it's far from over. It's the championship route, 2 falls out of 3. This time with a 45-minute time limit, and as we pick up the action, the Cuban Assassins, the challengers, lead it 1 fall to nothing. They scored over Bret Hart, who is having difficulty with that left knee. And of course, the Assassins are going after it. Look at this. Whoa! Bret's got to make the tag. Makes it. Here's Keith. Keith comes up with a banging right hand and then a chop. Knocks the other Assassin. Flings him aside, hits the drop kick on Cuban number 1, then knocks down number 2. Keith Hart, solid uppercut. Oh, he wants them to get to know each other. Keith Hart in control. The champions are trailing, don't forget. 1 fall to nothing. Crowd has been just wild in this one. revolving door. There are two referees, Wayne Hart in the ring, Sandy Scott outside of the ring, and they've still had trouble. With two referees, they've had trouble with Cuban. Look at this. Thompson, cover, 1, 2, 3, there it is. There it is. It's all square, one fall apiece. We shut down our cameras between falls. We're back to the action now. It's all square. The International Tag Team title on the line. Keith and Bret Hart, the Calgary Kids, against the Cuban Assassins from Havana. There it is, the Boston Crab, broken up. And as I told you, two referees, they have not been able to stop the interference. Hart coming back strong. And again, they start to work on that left knee. There's the tag. Assassin number 1, and he's going after that knee, that left one. We passed the 20-minute mark. 2 out of 3. It originally had been announced as being a one-fall affair. That was quickly corrected. It's 2 out of 3. Bret trying to bang his way out of there. He does it. He needs to make the tag. He did. Here's Keith, big right hand. Gets the other assassin off the top. Flying head scissors, pulled him down beautifully. It's all square. The Harts, the champions. The Assassins, the challengers. 1-1. Look out. Little interference. Oh! How sweet it is! Covered. 1, 2, 3. He got him. He got him. 1, 2, 3. And there it is. And you've got the Hart brothers retaining their International Tag Team Championship belts. Keith and Bret Hart receiving their belts as they beat off the challenge by the Cuban Assassins.
And after Jack Kruger teamed with Dad as the Cuban Assassins and also as the Assassins because he went as the Iranian Assassin, well, Dad was back to singles again and being paired up for the people, and then in comes a young guy by the name of Fidel Sierra. He asked permission from Dad to use the Cuban Assassin name, and Dad gave him his blessings and said, "You be the Cuban Assassin in the United States, and I'll be the Cuban Assassin in Canada." So enter who I call my big brother, Fidel Sierra, and he's the new Cuban Assassin here in the United States and had a wonderful success in WCW.
For the security, the plane, a security advantage for them.
Well, I think that's it. They're all there. There we are. They don't want people to know exactly what they look like, I don't think. Here's the Cuban in the ring now. He's not very happy with the crowd here, and the crowd are showing their displeasure as well. Let's see if he can wrestle now.
Yeah, we've heard so much about the Cuban Assassin. Just going back, he claims he is the Southern Hemisphere title holder, as announced by the announcer in Gene Martin, but there's some controversy about that because Mario Milano 2 months ago claimed the Cuban bribed one of the judges officiating the final contest. Well, we'll probably hear more about that as time goes on. At the moment, Tolios and the Cuban Assassin are inside the ring. So far, not much action from the Assassin. I don't know what he's looking at up there.
I think this tactics, Paul. I think this is tactics. I think Tolios will have to watch this man. He's big and he's mean and he knows how to use that ring.
Yeah, I think he's placing himself.
It's first time in Australia. First time in Australia, and I don't know how he has to take these people. But he using those stiff arms like in a chop. He's using them like a tomahawk.
Well, there's certainly plenty of power in them. They come down hard with that one. Tolios is feeling the effects of it, Ken.
There's a right hand, but he turned away from the referee. The referee signaling with an open hand. I wouldn't like to say, but knowing the Cuban, I'd say it was closed.
But the Assassin has his hand cupped under the chin of Tolios. Referee is closely watching to see. In fact, I think he's saying it's illegal. Checking those, checking to see that he's not applying any pressure in an unusual or illegal way.
Do you notice the fingers of the Assassin? Got the first and second fingers taped together. I don't know whether that's through an injury or as a weapon. Only time will tell. There's Tolios with a body check off the ropes. There's the Assassin drops down. There's a big shot and Tolios goes down. He run right into that coat hanger. He's hurt. There's a stomp on the face by the Assassin and another one.
Like a brick wall, that fellow there, that Assassin. I mean,
he nearly cut Tolios' head off.
Now, wait a minute.
They're teaming up now. This combination's starting to get together now.
Mr. John Scott, they call him. Only got in there because his partner helped him get in. A little bit unfair, I'd say, and we all say. County comes with the leg over the chin. Marino watching closely to see him come on the throat. I think it was legitimate. Let's look at this now. Spacing of the legs there, giving Big John Scott that extra power to apply very heavily with the right hand over the chin. He's actually got two hands over the chin now. One.
There's Kevin Martin trying to get in. He's trying to let go of the tag.
Can't,
the referee won't allow this. If I was Martin, I'd just get in anyway.
Oh, a couple of rights to the midsection. He's got a slamming one.
There's a big slam. Tolios is trying. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know where he's going.
That was quite an effort for Tolios, wasn't it?
There's another chop by John Scott.
Hey, wait a minute.
That was a good one, right in the throat.
Yes, but I wouldn't regard that as all that fair because it was almost a karate chop.
Well, Paul, you're in it to win it, mate. Here comes Martin. He's not at all happy with it. Marino's putting Martin out. And here comes the Assassin in.
You can't blame Martin for getting upset.
Well, Paul, if he can't take it, he shouldn't be in there. That's all I say.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's
for us in there, but if I was in there, I'd be doing the same. If you can't take it, you don't get in the ring. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, there's a difference between being sure, though, and you know, and working within the bounds of the rules. I mean, those fellas are applying illegal tactics all the time.
Look out, they're right over the top of us there. Look out, there goes John Scott. He's used that top rope again. He'll use anything that's not tied down.
Forward body slam there by Big John Scott. Moves in to drop the leg over the chin, softening up Tolios.
Yeah, here comes the assassin.
Being dropped there, I thought to the throat. I thought to the throat.
I thought it looked all right myself.
Well, from where I saw it, I could be wrong. Through the ropes.
There goes Joe's on the floor, and the assassin's following him onto the floor. He's going to finish him off on the floor. He doesn't care whether it's in the ring, outside the ring. Go on, that's the way. He's not stopping because he's not in the ring. It's on the floor, in the dressing room. He doesn't care where he wrestles, this guy. Here comes Martin.
Martin's fuming. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Come on, Tony. Keep an eye on him.
Tolios is up off the floor now. He's walking around. I'm not really sure whether he knows where the ring is.
He certainly copped a pummeling in this match, Ken.
The assassin's not... Oh, look out here. Here comes Tolios. The assassin's legs. Either side of the corner post. No, John. There, that's a... Oh! Did you see that ball? There, John stopped on the ball. 10 minutes. Big head. Tolios. And into the corner post. John Tolios is down on the floor. His head was driven into that steel post. I don't think he'll get up from that. There's Martin up there trying to help him up off the floor. The assassin's on his hands in the ring. And John Scott standing on the corner of his own. Nothing's happened.
Tolios looks really...
There goes a headbutt. The assassin went across on his hands and knees. And as John Tolios came to the ring, he headbutted him and dropped him back on the floor.
I mean, Tolios has taken more punishment tonight than I've seen any wrestler take tonight. But he's still in there fighting.
Here's the assassin on his hands and knees again. This looks like a favourite manoeuvre of his. He's telling Marino, the referee, to get out of his way. There he goes again, and another headbutt. And Tolios is back on the floor.
Well, he'll win no support in Australia with tactics like that, Ken.
I don't know, but this Cuban doesn't look like he's the full quid. He's a little mental, I think. He's just hitting his own head on the corner.
There's hardly a drop of sweat on him. He's hardly started. But I've got to hand it to him, though, Ken. He has a reputation as an international
Well, anything
star.
goes by the look of it, and he's doing anything. There goes a straight four fingers, and I think you can see now why his two fingers are taped together. Here comes Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin has gone up his brain. He's got the Scott down. He's hit the Cuban in the forehead. He's hit John Scott again. Looks like Martin's going to kill the pair of them. He's incensed with the treatment that Tolios got on the floor. And there goes a big backdrop.
Beautifully
Look at
done.
Martin go.
Got him by the chin. A knee lift of the chin by Martin. And he's really going to town, Martin. Can he keep it up? I believe that he's going to go well in this sequence, I reckon. Well, look out. Wait a minute. He's down.
John Scott's down.
Well, that's
Martin standing over him.
fantastic. Martin believes he's got it.
The Cuban's going berserk up and down the apron of the ring. I'm not sure, but I don't think he wants to get in the ring. Did you see that?
I saw it all right.
I can't call that one.
Martin made the
I
fatal
do
mistake.
lots of things in the ring, Paul, but I don't do that.
Well, he made the fatal mistake of not watching.
Well, it's quite obvious. Marino never saw what he did, or he wouldn't be still in the ring. He would have been disqualified for that. And in comes the Cuban.
It seems to me.
There's a big headbutt right on the forehead of Martin.
Seems to me with the tactics of the Cuban assassin, he sort of waits to kind of finish things off, to continue the punishment on the opponent.
I think he uses his partner to soften up and then gets in when the going looks pretty easy.
He's a real...
He's ring-wise.
he's a pace wrestler, I'd say. Moves into the
There's a
diving.
headbutt off the second rope.
That would have really hurt, that one. In for the press.
Martin's just kicked free.
He's calling for his partner to put the knee up.
The tag is on.
They're starting to combine very well now, Paul, this tag team. This is what tag team wrestling's all about.
Well, I don't know about wrestling in the ring, though. One out, one in, that's my way I look at it. But anyway, they're allowed to do it within the bounds of the laws.
They're allowed to do it if they can get away with it, and that's all that counts here. Marino hasn't got eyes in the back of his head, and these guys know it.
There's probably about 3,000 people wouldn't agree with you, but anyway, I say they can be allowed to do it within the bounds.
Well, you look at it like a commentator, Paul, and I look at it like a wrestler. And a wrestler's in there to win. And there's John Scott here. He's using the top rope. He's holding Martin over the top rope. But look, Martin's used it again.
Martin grabs him by the front. Scott trying to go for the tag for the Cuban Assassin. Not quite there. There he goes. With the elbow dropped to the back of the head. Martin's back in there. No.
There's the Scott begging now.
The actions are plenty. World class.
Martin doesn't care who he is. Here comes the assassin, and he's attacked Martin from the back. Well, Martin deserves this. He's throwing punches inside and outside, and the assassin's only giving him a receipt.
Martin's got the advantage now. Elbow chop. In on the ropes is Big John Scott. Marino says, Martin, get back. At least allow him to get free.
Well, there's the count. He's got to get back now.
There's the tag. Tolios in. Martin barely gets out. He didn't apply any bad pressure. That's what I call correct tagging.
Correct tagging it may be, but is it going to win them the match? And winning all is all that matters. I think the Scott's in heavy land. I don't think he knows whether he's in with Martin or he's in with Tolios or who's in there.
His position now, I don't like his chances.
Well, it looks like both teams are bending the rules a little now, Paul.
Oh, well, as you say, you know, if it's all in, it's all in. Full Nelson applied by John Tolios.
The pace of this match has been furious. I don't know how long these wrestlers can keep it up. They're big men. They're 200-pounders.
Their endurance must be fantastic.
There's John. He's spat the dummy out now. There goes the headbutt. These Greeks, they're known for hard hits, and the Cubans in. Now let's see what he can do.
Cuban Assassin. Go Tolios, they say. Go Tolios. He's coming around the ring. He thinks he's got the Cuban Assassin covered.
No, he waited too long there. Did you see that headbutt? Nothing's happened. Tolios is standing there looking at him.
He wasn't satisfied with that, was he?
Well, it was an open hand, Paul. Whether it was a stiff hand to the throat, well, who's to say? I couldn't see.
I couldn't either, but I did. You know, knowing his reputation, nothing surprises me.
He definitely knows to use everything that's going for him. He's got that first and
Right,
second rope and using it for leverage.
He broke on the count of 4. If he had gone one more, they would have been disqualified. I think he's getting within the bounds of the laws. They get away with it that way.
There's a big suplex. Hey, there goes the big man, John.
Well, that was a good one. Now that was well executed. I'd hand it to this Cuban Assassin.
He's got the skills. He's got the skills if he wants to use them. But I think he just likes inflicting pain. I don't think he wants to show that he's a great scientific wrestler. I think he just wants to rip, tear and punch. And let's face it, that's what wins matches. That's what you do.
He's really softening up now into the press. That was close, wasn't it?
That was close. I would have said John Tolios was finished then.
I thought he was a goner. He's back, Dave. He has great retributive powers, Talios. Like I said before, what's he going to go for? The Boston Crab? What's he going to go for?
This is not a Boston Crab where I come from. He used the back of his knee in the stomach of the Cuban. Here comes Kevin Martin. He's firing up there, the punch right to the top of the head, the big knee lift. And there's the Scot. He's in for a little bit of treatment too. There's the four of them in the ring now. Oh, there's a
teamwork.
They're down, both of them.
Teamwork. Great work, boys. Headbutt by Martin.
Well, I don't think Tony Marino knows who's supposed to be in this ring at the moment.
Well, that's sort of had a reverse situation.
Oh, that's a pile driver. I think Martin's gone. I think he's next beat. Oh, I think they'll have to carry Martin now. The assassin did a pile drive. What a beautiful move, Paul.
The pile drive.
That was a beautiful move.
Well, it was a strong
I think he's not happy with that. He wants to do it again.
He's going to go for another pile
He's going to do another one. Even his partner doesn't want him to do it. I think Martin's injured.
Well,
Martin's certainly injured. Oh, the Scot's trying to stop the Cuban. He knows he could kill Martin if he did it again.
Well, at least Scott
Tony's
has some
sense has finally prevailed.
Yes.
They've pulled Martin away.
The winners are
From Cuba, the Cuban Assassin, and from Scotland, Mr. John Scott.
He took the money.
While Fidel Sierra was going as the Cuban Assassin, Dad teamed up with an old rival of his, Champagne Jerry Morrow, and Champagne Jerry Morrow would become my dad's new tag team partner in the new invention of the Cuban Assassins. They would become a whole different type of changing of the era, changing with the times. So from the Cuban Assassins, Champagne Jerry Morrow teamed with Dad, and they became the Cuban Commandos in Stampede Wrestling in 1988. This marked a turning point for the Cuban Assassins character because now they're the Cuban Commandos.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first match on today's program is a tag team action match. Already in the ring from Beverly Hills, California, weighing 225 pounds, the ever-popular Buddy Lane. His tag team partner is from Miami Beach, Florida, weighing 220 pounds, rock and roller Wayne Gillis. And their opponents making their way down to the ring area, known as the Cuban Commandos. Introducing first from Martinique, weighing 245 pounds, Jerry Morrow. His tag team partner is from Havana, Cuba, weighing 235 pounds, the Cuban Assassin. And they are the current North American Tag Team Champions. Your referee for this match is Bernie Richard.
Well, here we are at ringside. Gare Maxwell joining you, the Cuban Commandos, fresh from their assault on former partner Leo Burke last week. Here they are in action defending their North American tag team belts against the likes of Buddy Lane and the rock and roller Wayne Gillis. And I'll tell you, fans in the Maritimes have really soured on the likes of Jerry Morrow and the Cuban Assassin, the Cuban Commandos, after what they performed on Leo Burke. front cranial surgery. Cuban, of course, splitting Burke's head wide open. Many of you saw it here on television last week. They were once the closest of friends. The Cuban Assassin and Leo Burke having teamed up on many occasions. One can only wonder at this point what happened to affect the relationship of the Cuban Assassin and Leo Burke, and in fact the relationship between the Cuban Commando tag team and the Pride of the Maritimes, Leo Burke. It's something that we will touch on later in this program. For now, let's concentrate on the action in the ring as Wayne Gillies takes down Jerry Morrow. A new tag team, Buddy Lane and Wayne Gillies. They're getting a crack here at those North American belts. And, of course, they go in as the underdogs against this very potent and, in fact, lethal combination of the Cuban Assassin and Jerry Morrow. Wayne Gillies with a headlock on Jerry Morrow, and great move by Gillies, and look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my, Wayne Gillies with some outstanding wrestling maneuvers, and the fans are just loving it. The Cuban Assassin trying to interfere, and he paid the price. Jerry Morrow and the Cuban Assassin have made themselves a lot of enemies. And now Morrow climbing back into the ring to face rock and roller Wayne Gillies. There's a tag. Morrow and the Cuban Assassin did make the tag. Cuban may be holding a foreign object. I thought I saw the Cuban Assassin reach to the boot. Referee Bernie Richard checking for a possible contraband. The fans at ringside are convinced that the Cuban Assassin is carrying some sort of concealed object. Now here's Buddy Lane in against the Cuban Assassin. There is absolutely no need for the Cuban Assassin to resort to these kind of tactics. But he has obviously joined the dark side of professional wrestling, and now will stop at nothing to gain a victory. There's Buddy Lane, a beautiful flying drop kick, and another. Buddy Lane with all kinds of heat on the Cuban Assassin. Here's a tag, and Jerry Morrow slowly climbing into the ring, and he's welcomed with an arm drag, and down goes Jerry Morrow. We'd like to mention all the cards and letters we're receiving here at World Grand Prix Wrestling. They are certainly welcome. We had a great note from Charlottetown the other day, and we certainly hope to be in the Charlottetown Forum in the near future. And if you care to write to us here at World Grand Prix Wrestling, you can do so. I'll give you a moment to get your pen and paper ready, and I'll give you the address as we watch Buddy Lane ready to tag up with rock and roller Wayne Gillies. Lane with an armbar here on Jerry Morrow. And now he's reversing the hold. Applying pressure to the left arm, and here's the Cuban Assassin in to interfere. And the Cuban Assassin and Jerry Morrow. And look at this. Wayne Gillies and Buddy Lane are going to town on the Cuban Assassin and Jerry Morrow. The Cuban Assassin obviously looking bewildered. And Jerry Morrow's not too sure about this situation either. This could call for a huddle on the part of the Cuban Commandos. Morrow gets back into the ring as Buddy Lane goes to work. Here's a tag, and in comes Wayne Gillies. address, incidentally, World Grand Prix Wrestling, care of ATV, 191 Halifax Street, Moncton. That's World Grand Prix Wrestling, care of ATV, 191 Halifax Street in Moncton, New Brunswick. Now, here's the Cuban Assassin for an object. No question about it. I saw it in plain view. The camera picked it up. There he is again, reaching into the trunks, reaching into those combat fatigues. And there was no doubt about it. The Cuban Assassin is carrying a concealed weapon. Referee Bernie Richard apparently unaware. The fans, of course, are going crazy at ringside. Buddy Lane, I think, is trying to tell referee Bernie Richard that the Cuban Assassin has a weapon. Now, here's Jerry Morrow from on high. Buddy Lane in to interfere as Morrow is going for the pin. Jerry Morrow in against rock and roller Wayne Gillies. Here's Gillies off the rope and a double clothesline from the Cuban Commandos. Buddy Lane trying his best to encourage Wayne Gillies, who there is victimized by a neck breaker. In comes Lane to put the boot to the head of Jerry Morrow and break up that pin attempt. Here's Morrow whipping Gillies off the rope. Come back. Let's see if Gillies can make it for the tag. Yes! And here comes Buddy Lane. Lane for the chop. And down goes Jerry Morrow hard to the mat. Cuban Assassin has thoughts of going from the top rope, but he does so the hard way. And now Buddy Lane has Morrow going head first into his partner. Morrow now whipping Lane off the ropes. Jerry Morrow is once again climbing those top ropes. Jerry Morrow having difficulty against Buddy Lane, and now Lane has joined Morrow. And look at this suplex. Wayne Gillies in to break it up with the Cuban Assassin. A double pile driver. The referee, Bernie Richard, trying to restrain Wayne Gillies. 1, 2, 3, it's all over. The Cuban Commandos successfully defend their title and will be right back.
After my dad teamed up with Jerry Morrow's the Cuban Commandos, my dad would retire in pro wrestling in 1993. But he would come out of retirement in 1999 to team up with a new young up-and-comer, his own son, me. So I would come up and I would become my dad's new tag team partner, and we would revise a whole new Cuban Assassins era as father and son Cuban Assassins. And we did this in the 1999 Legends Tour for Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling for Emile Dupree in the Maritimes. And I'm going to tell you, I was very proud and honored to be my dad's tag team partner. It was a childhood dream of mine. So I basically replaced Jerry Morrow and we reformed the Cuban Assassins. This one's from our personal home video collection of the Vault, because Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling was no longer on television when I got to team up with my dad to reform the Cuban Assassins. And so this is from our home video, and I'll be doing the play-by-play here and giving a little info about our history of the Cuban Assassins. As you see right now, my dad and myself in a 2-on-1 handicap match against Kurgan, who was from the WWF, then the World Wrestling Federation, as a member of the Oddities. And he was still under contract at this time, and he come down to the Maritimes because this is where his pro wrestling career started, was with Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling when it was rebranded World Grand Prix Wrestling. As you can see, the referee there, Frank Parker, and he's long passed some years ago, but his daughter is now a referee in pro wrestling as well, and she's doing very well for herself and been refereeing some matches for TNA. And she also refereed an NWA World Heavyweight Championship title match. So she's done very well for herself. But right now, as you see Frank Parker, the referee, going over the instructions between my dad and myself, the formerly, or should I say, the new fashions of the Cuban Assassins, father and son. As you can see, we're not taking the fans' reaction too well, and Giant Kurgan, which his real name is Robert Maillet, who later on would become a big movie and TV star. And he appeared in such films as 300, Sherlock Holmes, Pacific Rim, and Becky, just to name a few. Right now you see my dad trying to go for the leg on Kurgan, and Kurgan just shoves him off like he's nothing. I come in, I try to grab the leg of Kurgan, and Kurgan shoves me off like I'm nothing. And I'm going to tell you something, Kurgan was a very strong guy. He still is. I mean, doesn't even know his own strength, as you'll see in this matchup here shortly. But this was an honor for me. It was a childhood dream to team up with my dad to be the new members of the Cuban Assassins. Remember, Frank Sieberstein, which I called Uncle Frank, and I refer to him as Uncle Frank, he and Dad were the very first Cuban Assassins tag team. They were the originals. And then later on, Jack Kruger would come in as the Cuban Assassins. And then later on, Fidel Sierra would get the name from Dad and be in WCW World Championship Wrestling as the Cuban Assassin. And he also traveled the world as the Cuban Assassin. And then I became the Cuban Assassin as well when I started my pro wrestling career in 1989. But I was going as the Cuban Commando because I didn't want to take away from my dad. After my dad retired in 1993, then I was going as the Cuban Assassin. And then in 1999, here, as we are in Coquin, New Brunswick, Canada, for the 1999 Legends Tour. Right now you see my dad grabbing one arm of Kurgan, and I go over and I grab the other arm of Kurgan. And this is the strength. He literally shot me and Dad in each other right there. We actually kind of hit hard there, but thankfully we was able to keep from being too badly damaged. As you see, Kurgan shoots me into the corner, picks up Dad, and he shoots him right into me. And now he's just going to come in charging and then splashes both into the corner here. And I'm going to tell you, I picked up the name after Dad retired pro wrestling in 1993, then teamed up in 1999, and then Dad retired officially in 2003 from the ring action. Here's Kurgan's got my dad from the throat as he come out of the corner. Or actually, he's got me by the throat. And Dad takes out the international foreign object and uses it on Kurgan's back knee as I'm trying to distract the referee Frank Parker here. And then I come over and I give a big kick to Kurgan for being so stiff on me. And Dad's going to work on Kurgan right now, hitting his leg here, working on him. And at this point, you know, I'm sitting here admiring my dad and getting lost in the moment here, and I really should be distracting Frank Parker more. But all of a sudden, Dad gives me the signal to come in. I come in, I give a big stomp to Kurgan's head and give another punch to his head, and then the official Frank Parker starts pushing me back out of the ring here as I'm giving a distraction for my dad to use that international foreign object. I wish there would have been other television programs where Dad and I could have been seen together, but all I have is these home videos, and these home videos will work well enough for me. As you can see right now, Dad going away on Giant Kurgan here with that international foreign object, as they used to call it. I don't think they like to call it that today because they think it's kind of offensive using the word foreign. But that's what they used to call it back in the day when I was growing up watching my dad wrestle, and also watching wrestling when I was growing up in the 1980s as well. And right now my dad goes to cover Kurgan. Frank Parker makes the count. Kurgan shoves my dad off. I get on. He shoves me off, almost throwing me through the ropes there. Then we both get onto, and then he pushes us both off, and I kind of roll into the corner post there. This is fond memories for me because this was a fun time for me teaming up with my dad. I learned so much from him. My dad goes to give Kurgan a clothesline. I go to give him a clothesline, almost knocking him off his feet. Then Dad and I come and we both give him a double clothesline. Kurgan goes over the top rope, but he lands on his feet and he climbs up, and Dad and I are unaware that Kurgan's right behind us. And you're going to see something here when we both turn around and Kurgan does a double clothesline on us, basically almost ripping our heads off there. I remember this match very well. He scoop slams Dad. He scoop slams me. And then he goes and picks Dad up. He shoots him off into the ropes, gives him a big boot to the face. He grabs me, shoots me off, gives me a big boot to the face. And both Dad and I are both down right now. And now the fans are going crazy, and Kurgan just grabs Dad in the throat, getting ready to give him a chokeslam, but I can't have that, so I climb up to the top, about ready to fall off the top. I go down for a double axe handle. I get caught by Kurgan right there, and he's got me. Dad tries to save me. Kurgan gives me a boot to the face, and Dad goes to the ropes outside, and a big old chokeslam from Kurgan down onto me. I'm going to tell you, I heard the wind come by my ears when he did that. Literally, because I was so high in the air. I mean, you're looking at a guy at 7'7" almost, and then he picks me up and gets me in what's called the Kurgan shuffle here and turns me around. Boom, sidewalk slam, and 1, 2, and 3, and there's the match. And Kurgan defeats my dad and myself as we reformed the new version of the Cuban Assassins back in 1999, part of the 1999 Legends Atlantic Grand Prix Legends Tour. And the fans are going crazy as they celebrate Kurgan's victory. This was a wonderful time for me and a great memory, and I hope you guys enjoyed this match. After Dad and I had teamed together as the Cuban Assassins, later on my son Quentin Acevedo and my nephew Blake Selman came to me, and they said they wanted to get into the pro wrestling business to carry on the family tradition. So I started training them and then taking them under my wing, and we were forming a team together known as the Cuban Dynasty. And as we was doing the Cuban Dynasty, we would travel in a couple different states as the Cuban Dynasty. After my son Quentin and my nephew Blake came to me, so they wanted to get into the wrestling business, I figured I'd take them under my wing and train myself. And this is one from our home video collection here again, because there's no TV here, we just home filmed it. And this is a match between my son and myself revising the Cuban Assassins against Bars and Stars, which is comprised of the Nomad and Martial Law. As you can see, Martial Law is now ringing my arm. I go over, he drops the leg down on my arm, and he takes an arm bar. And this takes place for a group called XMCW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and it took place in Cross Lanes, West Virginia. And this is roughly around 2019. And I was taking my son and my nephew to different shows around the state of West Virginia and Virginia, also down in Tennessee, and also over in North Dakota. So I take them around trying to teach them everything about wrestling. As you see, the Martial Law just reversed me and then gives me a clothesline. I go back into the corner. He takes me, he Irish whips me out into the corner, gives me a big old hip toss out of the corner there, and he gives my son a hip toss there as my son come in, and now he's grabbing me and grabs my son, and he's taking us and he's throwing us and rams our head together, and both me and my son go outside the ring to collect ourselves. I'm kind of in enemy territory there by going by the Nomad. But this is kind of a good memory for me because not only did I get to team with my dad, but now I'm teaming with my son, which is a thing that's kind of a blessing to me, to have got to tag team with both my father and my son, as well as my nephew. But right now, me and my son are trying to do the Cuban Assassins here, and we're going against Bars and Stars. And this is an outdoor show, so it's a small little crowd, but it's fun. And my son and I, this is an opportunity I get to team with my son, so I just kind of took advantage of it. And it's great to see some of these home video collection of ours, of our family's matches here of the Cuban Assassin. Like I said, we're the unknown family of pro wrestling is the Cuban Assassins. From Frank and Dad as the original Cuban Assassins, to the phony fake Cuban Assassin, to Dad and Jack Kruger as the Cuban Assassins, then to Fidel Serra coming in as the Cuban Assassin on WCW, and then to Dad and Jerry Morrow and Change with the Times as the Cuban Commandos, and then I teamed with my dad to reform the Cuban Assassins, and now here I am doing it with my son here. And right now, as you can see, they're getting the chance to get the chants going from the fans here to chant USA, and we got a collar elbow top, and I take martial law down to my side here, trying to get out of the referee's point of view using that international foreign object like my dad taught me, and I'm using it now on martial law. And as you can see, the referee's distracted from me, and my son is choking martial law over here in the ropes over here, and I don't think Nomad is really helping his partner there. He should have been trying to tell the ref to go over there, but he didn't. So right now I got martial law, and I'm using that international foreign object on him again here. And watching these home videos really brings back memories. I'm so proud to have teamed with my dad and my son, as well as my nephew. I'm very proud of that too. And this was a great time in coming out of retirement myself to help my son like my dad did. Kind of synchronicity there happening. A lot of synchronicities in our family. Right now, my son and I double Irish whip onto martial law. We give him a double back elbow. My son goes for the cover. The referee counts, only gets the count of 2 as martial law kicks out right there. And my son's picking up martial law, and he's taking him to my corner here and tagging me back in. And then I'm getting on to martial law as my son gets out of the ring here. Then I take martial law, I shoot him off, Irish whip onto the ropes. He ducks my clothesline, and we have a double clothesline right there in the middle of the ring. And right now the referee is supposed to be doing the standard 10 count, and Nomad's trying to get the fans here in Cross Lanes, West Virginia, to get behind martial law to help him get up so he can make the tag to the Nomad. And Nomad and I have history from the past of a bunch of matches. One of my big feuds is with the Nomad. And now martial law makes the tag to the Nomad. Nomad comes in, he gets on me, gets on my son. He throws me into my son there. And now me and my son kind of had it there, and we roll out of the ring as I grab the flag, and my son grabs the Cuban heavyweight title, and we just walk out because we don't want to have no more part of this. As far as we're concerned, these guys are a couple of cheaters themselves, and we're counted out, and Bars and Stars wins this match. And now we come to the conclusion of the Cuban legacy, which leaves to my son Quentin and my nephew Blake, as they are now the Cuban dynasty. So even they teamed together on quite a few times on several different shows as the Cuban dynasty. I'm very proud of my son Quentin Acevedo and my nephew Blake Salmon, because they're the full circle. They are what the Cuban Assassins became, which is truly a dynasty. That's what they are. They are the Cuban dynasty.
The bell sounds, we're underway.
Their usual, always playing dirty.
Cuban Dynasty double teaming on Chris Keffer and Billy Conley. Oh, we got a reversal.
Double headbutt.
And Conley and Keffer are on fire. They are wanting these tag team titles. Dynasty's outside, recollecting, regrouping.
They did not expect this from these two.
Get in there.
So now they slowed the tempo of the match down to their side. They're talking it over.
I think they finally decided to have at it.
Oh, and the fans are getting on them on that little hug.
Looks like some bromance.
Keffer and Kylie hugging it out.
They just did it.
We hug better. We hug better.
Chanting if they hug better.
I think the fans agree.
Now we got Chris Keffer in the ring.
Collar and elbow tie up. As Cuban Dynasty backs him into the corner.
Wanting a clean break. Benny Colley's getting the crowd into it. They are determined to take them international tag team titles. Collar and elbow locked up once again.
Again, backing into the corner.
Oh!
And a cheap shot.
Cheap shot by Dynasty. Chris Keffer asking the referee what kind of tactics that was.
Well, he clearly pulled his hair.
Collar and elbow locked up once again.
Into the wrist. Oh, jacking that on. And again. Into the hammerlock. Making a tag to Benny Carter.
Collie goes up top. Double axe handle. I've watched Benny Conley since he got into this sport. He is really advanced.
Into that wrist lock. And reversal. Tagging in the other member of the Cuban Dynasty.
Bringing him to his side of the ring. Drops that elbow right in the shoulder. Dynasty, when they find a weakness, they stay on it, and both men have been working on that arm.
That's why they're so successful. That's what makes them attack.
Collar rolls through, reversal on his own. We got a chance to break his arm out here. Tag made to Chris Keffer. Keffer goes up top.
From the second rope, tail to the wrist. And back into the wrist lock.
Drops that knee into the spine. Reverse chin lock.
There we go, man.
Get up, you can get this. Conley on the outside getting the fans riled up.
That's what you got to do. You got to get the people behind you. Keffer asking to break it. Fans are cheering him on.
I'd say go for it. That's your golden opportunity.
He tags in Benny Conley. Trying to break out of it now. We got a reversal. Oh, a knee to the back.
From the other member of the Cuban Dynasty.
We got to cover 1, 2.
Kick out at 2.
The champions are going to try anything to keep those international tag team
look
titles.
at the Cuban Dynasty over there causing problems.
Now they're double teaming him in the corner. Both men got a tag going on.
Forearms to the back and head.
Shoots in Collie. Double.
Cover. Kick out at 2.
He's going after after Keffer.
Hey, come on!
There was no tag. Referee's got to keep him out. And did you see that? Double team.
Ref distracted, and now the double team by the Cuban Dynasty. Double pass.
The referee didn't see a tag.
Another kick out at 2.
Let's go!
That's the reason why he didn't see the tag, because there was none.
With the face paint and the camouflage, it's hard to tell which one's which.
Come on, tag out.
Come on, Benny!
He's got Benny in that chin lock.
Conley looked at the guy, looked at the crowd.
These fans are getting behind him. He's worked his way up to his feet.
Oh, back elbow. Another back elbow to the ropes.
Ducks.
And double down clothesline.
This might be a race of who's going to be the man to get on his feet first.
Somebody better get on their feet or that opportunity is gone.
These fans are rallying behind Benny. Can he make it to his corner? He's working his way to his partner.
Looking to get the hot
Dynasty tags. Keffer comes in. He's a ball of fire. He's going after Dynasty all his own. He's going after him. He's putting him down.
He's taking everybody down.
Picks him up for a body slam. It's a melee.
Knee to the stomach by Benny Conley. And another knee to the stomach. Here we go. Drop down. Back spinning heel kick.
1, 2.
All broken up by the other member of the Cuban Dynasty.
European uppercut by Benny. Got a chop going on.
Oh, look at that chop. Another.
Benny picks him up. Keffer dumps out the other one. Body slam. Keffer. Knee drop.
Knee.
1, 2. No! Dynasty saves the day. They stop the count of the referee.
Conley and Kevin were so close to capturing those tag team titles.
Absolutely close. We would have had new international tag team champions. He's got him tied up in the corner. The other one's got him tied up in the corner. They're going after Dynasty now. Is this their golden moment? Is this the winner? Oh, he's out there!
Turnbuckle, schoolboy from the Cuban Dynasty.
Roll up, we got a 3 count.
And Benny Conley was too late to break that pinfall.
Dynasty was able to keep their championships. They are still the international tag team champions.
I tell you what, Benny Conley and Chris Kepner were so close to capturing those tag titles.
Absolutely close.
And retaining their international tag team title, the Cuban Dynasty.
Cuban Dynasty walks away with the championship gold.
The Cuban Assassin legacy should be remembered, as well as the Cuban family should be remembered, because there's so many people that we all helped. It doesn't matter what faction or what era of the Cuban Assassins that existed, or the changing of the times from the Cuban Assassins to the Cuban Commandos, or even to the Cuban Dynasty. The Cuban Assassin family should be remembered for their part of pro wrestling history, and they should be given credit for everyone that they've helped along the way in their professional wrestling career, because we all helped make a lot of people into major superstars in the professional wrestling industry. And I hope that hopefully people will remember the Cuban Assassin family and the legacy that we leave behind, because it is a dynasty that we do leave behind. It's one family tradition that continues and went on for so many years in professional wrestling. And I like to think that we had a major impact in professional wrestling history and being a great professional wrestling family.